My sister held my 8-week-old daughter at her welcome home party and whispered, "I'll always protect her." 3 days later, a social worker took my baby under an emergency court order based on documents claiming I had voluntarily given up custody. The agreement carried my signature. I had never signed it. I made one call. 3 minutes later, she called back and screamed, "What did you tell them?" She had no idea I already knew the truth. My name is Claire Marlowe. I was 29 years old when my sister used the worst 8 weeks of my life to convince a judge that I was too unstable to raise my own daughter. To everyone else, Natalie Cole was the perfect older sister. She ran a nonprofit called Safe Beginnings, which helped women find emergency housing after childbirth. She appeared on local television, spoke at fundraising dinners, and posted videos about protecting vulnerable mothers. She knew how to cry without smearing her mascara. She knew how to touch someone's hand at exactly the right moment. Most importantly, she knew how to make control look like compassion. 4 months before my daughter Sadie was born, my husband Ben died in a highway accident. He had called me 11 minutes before the crash. "Don't make dinner," he said. "I'm bringing tacos." "You brought tacos yesterday. And yesterday was a successful marriage. What kind are you getting?" "The irresponsible kind." I laughed. Those were the last words I ever heard him say. After the funeral, everyone kept telling me how strong I was. I organized the memorial. I finished Sadie's nursery. I attended prenatal appointments alone. I answered sympathy messages from people who disappeared 3 weeks later. But strength was only what grief looked like from the outside. Inside, I was terrified. Sadie was born healthy, loud, and 6 days early. The moment the nurse placed her on my chest, I loved her so fiercely that it frightened me. Love did not cure the fear. It sharpened it. Every time Sadie slept, I checked whether she was breathing. Every time she cried, I imagined a hidden medical emergency. I barely slept. I ate standing up. Some mornings, I could not remember whether I had brushed my teeth. 5 weeks after she was born, I called my doctor at 2 in the morning. Dr. Priya Shah answered through the hospital's on-call line. "Claire, tell me what's happening. I can't sleep." "Is Sadie awake?" "No." "Is she safe?" "Yes." "Are you safe?" "I don't know." "What does that mean?" I looked at my daughter sleeping in the bassinet beside me. I keep imagining something happening to her. I know it isn't real, but I can't stop seeing it. "Do you want to hurt yourself?" "No." "Do you want to hurt Sadie?" "No, never." "Do you believe someone else is trying to hurt her?" "No." Dr. Shaw paused. "You may be experiencing postpartum anxiety with intrusive thoughts. I want you to come in." "I can't leave her." "You can bring her." "What if they take her from me?" Seeking treatment is not grounds for losing your child. I wanted to believe her. I went to the hospital. I stayed overnight for observation, started medication, and agreed to see a therapist named Leah Brooks twice a week. My discharge report stated that I had good judgment, no psychosis, no intent to harm myself or Sadie, and a strong attachment to my child. Natalie told our parents I had suffered a breakdown. She arrived at my house the morning after I returned from the hospital, with groceries, cleaning supplies, and a binder labeled Claire's Recovery Plan. "I don't need a recovery plan," I said. "You were hospitalized. For 1 night. You called a doctor because you were afraid to sleep." The doctor helped me. Natalie put the binder on my kitchen counter. "No one is judging you." "Then why is there a section called Supervised Parenting Schedule?" "It's just a precaution. I'm not agreeing to supervised parenting." "You're being defensive." "I'm being treated like a patient in my own home." She lowered her voice. "Claire, this isn't only about you anymore." Sadie began crying from the living room. I moved toward her, but Natalie stepped in front of me. "I'll get her. Move." "I'm trying to help. Then move." For half a second, her face changed. The warmth vanished. Then our mother walked into the room, and Natalie's smile returned. "Claire's overwhelmed," she said. "I was offering to take the baby." My mother looked at me. "Why are you snapping at her? I asked her to move. Your sister has put everything aside for you." "I didn't ask her to." Natalie touched my mother's arm. "It's okay. She doesn't mean it." That was Natalie's favorite kind of sentence. It made her sound forgiving while telling everyone I had done something that required forgiveness. The only person who openly distrusted her was my best friend, Maya Chen. Maya had known me since college. She had known Ben too. She was blunt, loyal, and almost physically incapable of pretending to like someone. After Natalie left, Maya opened the recovery binder. She made a password log. I saw that. She wants access to your email, bank accounts, and medical portal. She says it's for emergencies. She also made a list of people authorized to pick up Sadie. My parents and Natalie. You're not on the list. I grabbed the binder. At the top of the page, under primary caregiver during recovery, Natalie had typed her own name. I ripped out the page. Maya watched me. Change your locks. That feels dramatic. Your sister created a parenting plan for your child without asking you. She likes organizing things. So did dictators. Maya. I'm serious. I should have listened. There was one subject Natalie kept returning to during those weeks. My grandmother Eleanor's trust. Grandmother Eleanor had died while I was pregnant. 2 weeks after Sadie's birth, I received a letter from Whitaker Private Trust informing me that Sadie was a beneficiary. The letter did not state the full value. It only said the trust would cover certain educational, medical, and housing expenses, and that a formal meeting would take place after Sadie was 10 weeks old. At the bottom was an emergency number for Martin Reyes, the trust senior administrator. The letter included one unusual instruction. Any change involving the beneficiary's legal custody must be reported immediately. Natalie saw the envelope on my counter. What did Grandma leave her? I don't know yet. Cash? I don't know. Property. Natalie. I said I don't know. I'm only asking because trust can be complicated. Martin Reyes handles it. Who is he? The administrator. Does the guardian control the account? I'm Sadie's mother. That wasn't my question. I looked at her. Why are you so interested? She laughed. Because someone in this family has to think ahead. Later that night, I moved the letter into a locked desk drawer. At the time, I thought Natalie was being nosy. I did not yet understand that she had already contacted Martin's office herself. For the next 3 weeks, Natalie acted like the perfect sister. She brought meals, she folded laundry. She encouraged me to text her whenever I felt exhausted. So I did. At 2:14 one morning, I wrote, "I'm so tired I could disappear for a week." Natalie replied, "Are you alone with Sadie?" I wrote, "I mean sleep. I want to sleep for a week." Another night, after Sadie had screamed for nearly an hour, I wrote, "I can't do this tonight." Natalie called immediately. "Do you want me to take her?" "No. I need someone to remind me that babies eventually stop crying. Claire saying you can't do this is serious. I mean, tonight is hard. Maybe she should stay with me." "No. Just for a few days." "No. I'm offering help. And I'm saying no." I thought those conversations were private moments between sisters. Natalie recorded the calls. She saved the first halves of my messages and deleted the explanations underneath them. She documented every unwashed bottle, every pile of laundry, and every time I admitted I was tired. Then she waited for the right audience. Sadie's welcome home party happened when she was 8 weeks old. My mother insisted on hosting it. "She deserves a proper celebration," Mom said. "She's 8 weeks old. She doesn't know what a celebration is." The family wants to meet her. The family has met her. "Claire, please don't make everything difficult." I agreed to stay for 1 hour. The party was held at my parents' house. 30 relatives and family friends filled the living room. Pink balloons covered the staircase. My mother had ordered a cake with "Welcome Home Sadie" written across the top. Natalie wore a cream dress and positioned herself near every camera. She carried Sadie from person to person. At one point, she held my daughter against her chest, smiled toward my aunt's phone, and whispered, "I'll always protect her." People sighed as though they had witnessed something beautiful. Maya leaned toward me. That sounded less like a promise and more like a threat. I heard it too. "Take Sadie back." "I will." Before I could move, my father approached. "Your sister is good with her. So am I." "I didn't say you weren't. You didn't have to." He frowned. "You're very sensitive lately." That was another family trick. Say something cruel, then criticize the reaction. Half an hour later, Sadie became overstimulated. She refused her bottle and screamed against my shoulder. I checked her diaper, I bounced her, I carried her toward the quiet hallway. Natalie followed. "Give her to me. I have her. You're shaking. I'm tired. Claire, everyone is watching. Then tell them to stop." Sadie screamed directly into my ear. I closed my eyes. "Take her for 10 seconds before I scream into a pillow." Natalie took her immediately. A camera flashed. Another one followed. I rubbed both hands over my face. 12 seconds later, I reached for Sadie. "Okay, give me my tiny dictator back." A few people laughed. Natalie did not. She held Sadie tighter. "Maybe she should stay with me tonight." "No. Claire, give me my baby." The room became quiet. Natalie looked around, then handed Sadie back slowly. "Of course," she said. "I was only trying to help." I carried Sadie upstairs and stayed in the guest bedroom until she calmed down. 3 days later, someone knocked on my door at 8:47 in the morning. A woman named Angela Ruiz introduced herself as a county social worker. A sheriff's deputy stood beside her. "Is Sadie Marlowe inside?" Angela asked. "She's sleeping. What's wrong?" Angela handed me a stack of papers. The first page said, "Emergency Temporary Custody Order." The petitioner was Natalie Cole. The order stated that I had voluntarily surrendered temporary custody because I was mentally unstable, abusing medication, and unable to ensure my child's safety. That isn't true. Angela kept her voice neutral. "There will be a hearing on Monday. You're talking as though this is already decided. The judge granted emergency custody to your sister until the hearing." "Based on what?" She showed me the attached family emergency care agreement. It said that if my mental condition deteriorated, I voluntarily transferred custody and medical decision-making authority to Natalie. The signature looked exactly like mine. The notary stamp belonged to Melissa Grant, Natalie's operations director at Safe Beginnings. I never signed this. Angela glanced at the page. "You can challenge the document in court." "I'm challenging it now." "I understand you're upset." "You do not understand. My sister forged my signature." The deputy shifted his weight. Angela lowered her voice. "Miss Marlowe, your behavior during this transfer will be included in my report." That sentence stopped me. Natalie had created a situation in which every reaction could be used against me. If I cried, I was unstable. If I shouted, I was aggressive. If I refused, I was dangerous. I forced myself to breathe. "What do you need me to do, Angela?" Allowed me to pack Sadie's clothes, formula, diapers, and medicine. When I lifted my daughter from her crib, she opened her eyes and smiled. She had started smiling only a week earlier. I pressed my lips to her forehead. "This is temporary," I whispered. Outside, Natalie waited beside a black SUV. She wore a pale blue sweater and the expression she used in Safe Beginnings promotional videos. "Claire," she said softly, "please don't make this traumatic for her. You forged my signature. You're confused. I know what I signed. You were heavily medicated at the hospital. I was not. The court can decide that." I looked at Angela. "Please document that I dispute the agreement and that I am surrendering custody only because I am being ordered to." Angela nodded. "I'll include it." Natalie's expression tightened. She needed me to fight physically. She needed footage of me losing control. I handed Sadie to Angela instead of Natalie. Then I went back inside and closed the door. The moment it shut, I ran to my desk. The trust letter was still in the locked drawer. I called Martin Reyes. He answered on the third ring. "Whitaker Private Trust, Martin speaking." "My name is Claire Marlowe. I'm Sadie Marlowe's mother." His tone changed. "Is Sadie safe?" "My sister just took her under an emergency custody order." "Why?" "She used a forged agreement claiming I gave up custody. Did you sign any guardianship document? No. Did you authorize Natalie Cole to contact this office? No. Silence. Then he said, "Send me the order immediately. I think she wants access to Sadie's trust." Why do you think that? She kept asking whether a guardian controlled the money. Martin exhaled slowly. Ms. Cole contacted us 3 weeks ago. My hands went cold. What did she ask? I cannot discuss every communication yet, but she identified herself as a potential emergency guardian. She planned this. Forward the order. Do not warn her. Do not discuss the trust with your family. What are you going to do? I am freezing all pending guardian-related requests, issuing a records preservation notice, and notifying trust counsel. Pending requests. Martin paused. Yes. 3 minutes later, my phone rang. Natalie. I let it ring. She called again. And again. On the 7th attempt, I answered. What did you tell them? She screamed. Her compassionate voice was gone. Behind her, Sadie was crying. I told them you used a forged document to take the trust beneficiary. You had no right to involve them. It's my daughter's trust. You don't even know how it works. But you do. She went silent. That silence confirmed everything. Natalie, what did you file? You just made this much worse. For whom? You think calling some administrator will bring Sadie home? No. Then what was the point? To make sure stealing my daughter doesn't pay you. Her breathing changed. Listen to me carefully. Call Martin back. Tell him you panicked. Tell him I'm helping you. Why? Because freezing the trust hurts Sadie. How? The guardian needs immediate access to care funds. You became her guardian less than an hour ago. I've already made arrangements. What arrangements? She caught herself. That's none of your concern. Everything involving my daughter is my concern. You are not in a position to make demands, and you are not getting $1. She lowered her voice. If you fight this, every private thing you ever told me will become public. You mean the messages you edited? They show what they show. They'll also show what you deleted. You cannot prove that. Then why are you afraid of Martin preserving your records? She ended the call. Maya arrived 20 minutes later and found me sitting on the nursery floor. Where's Sadie? I handed her the order. She read the first page, then the agreement. Oh my God, I let them take her. You followed a court order. I packed her bag. You protected yourself from being arrested in front of your child. I should have fought harder. You're going to fight smarter. We called 7 family attorneys. The first 4 had no availability. The 5th wanted a $15,000 retainer. The 6th said forged custody documents were difficult to prove quickly. The 7th was Tessa Morgan. She asked only 3 questions. Is there an active emergency order? Yes. Is the alleged agreement notarized? Yes. Does your sister know your child is a trust beneficiary? Yes. I can meet you in an hour. Tessa's office was above a bakery. She was 42 direct and completely unimpressed by Natalie's reputation. She read the order, the forged agreement, and my hospital records. Did you sign anything Natalie brought you at the hospital? A medical authorization. She said it allowed her to speak with Sadie's pediatrician if I became sick. Did you receive a copy? No. Who witnessed it? Natalie and Melissa Grant. The same Melissa who notarized this? Yes. Tessa tapped the signature page. She may have copied your signature onto a different document. Can we get Sadie back today? No. The word felt like a physical blow. Tessa continued before I could respond. We can request an emergency review, challenge the document, and demand supervised visitation. But I will not promise a result a judge controls. My sister is using my postpartum treatment against me. Then we answer with records. She edited my messages. Then we recovered the full threads. She recorded me. Then we demand the complete recordings. My parents believe her. Tessa leaned back. Your sister's case depends on everyone looking only at the moment she selected. What does that mean? It means our job is to restore everything she cut away. The next morning, Tessa requested an immediate supervised visit. Natalie objected. She claimed contact with me could emotionally destabilize Sadie. Sadie was 8 weeks old. She became emotionally destabilized when a bottle took longer than 30 seconds. The judge granted me 1 supervised hour. The visit took place at a county family center. Natalie arrived 15 minutes late, carrying Sadie in a new yellow dress. She had a difficult night, Natalie told the supervisor, Denise. I held out my arms. Give her to me. Natalie hesitated. Then she handed Sadie over. My daughter smelled like Natalie's perfume. I pressed my cheek to her hair. Natalie sat across the room. She may not recognize your voice. I looked up. I spoke to her every day before she was born. I'm preparing you in case she seems more settled with me. The supervisor began writing. I checked Sadie's diaper. It was soaked. When was she changed? Recently. This diaper is full. Babies urinate frequently, Claire. I changed her, then checked the bottle Natalie had brought. When did she last eat? About an hour ago. Then why did you bring 4 ounces? She's eating more with me. She normally drinks 3. Her routine has changed. In 24 hours. Natalie smiled sadly at Denise. This is what I meant. Claire becomes fixated on tiny details. I looked at the supervisor. Please document the feeding time Natalie provided. Denise nodded. Natalie's smile disappeared. During the rest of the visit, I focused only on Sadie. I sang the song Ben used to sing while I was pregnant. Sadie's eyes slowly closed. At the end of the hour, I handed her back without being asked. Outside, I cried against Maya's car until I could barely breathe. But Denise's report stated that I had demonstrated appropriate parenting skills, understood Sadie's routine, and remained composed despite repeated provocation. It was a small victory. Natalie answered it with a public attack. That night, she posted a video. She sat in a softly lit room with Sadie sleeping against her chest. I never imagined my family would face a crisis like this, she said. Sometimes loving someone means protecting a child while that person receives the help she desperately needs. She never said my name. She did not have to. Within 2 hours, the video had 40,000 views. Comments praised her courage. People called me dangerous. One woman wrote that mentally ill mothers should be sterilized. Then a fundraiser appeared. Protect Baby S. Goal, $75,000. The page claimed Natalie needed money for legal expenses, specialized childcare, and safety modifications. Maya paced my living room. She's using your baby to raise money. I need to respond. No, Tessa said through the speakerphone. She is telling strangers I'm dangerous, and she wants you to fight her publicly. She's lying publicly. You are in a custody case, not a popularity contest. If I stay silent, people believe her. Let them. The judge does not decide custody through comments. I opened the video. Tessa said, Claire, close it. I want to see what she said. You already know what she said. She has my daughter in her arms. I know. Stop saying that. Then stop giving Natalie control of your attention. She already has temporary physical custody. Do not give her your judgment too. I closed the app. Tessa sent preservation notices to Natalie, Safe Beginnings, and the fundraising platform. By noon, the fundraiser disappeared. That afternoon, my mother called. Do you understand what you've done to Natalie's organization? She used the organization to raise money from my daughter. She needs legal help. So do I. This would not be happening if you had accepted help earlier. I accepted professional help. You rejected family. I rejected Natalie taking over my life. My mother's voice hardened. You said you wanted to disappear. I said I wanted to sleep for a week. That isn't what the message showed. Did Natalie show you the next sentence? Silence. Mom, she showed me what mattered. She showed you what helped her. You're trying to divide the family. Natalie filed a custody petition without telling me, because she was afraid you would react irrationally. Did you sign an affidavit? My mother hesitated. Yes. Did you write it? Natalie's attorney prepared it. What did you swear was true, that you said you couldn't care for Sadie? I asked Natalie to hold her for 10 seconds. You looked unstable. I looked tired. There's a difference. I ended the call. The following day, Angela returned to inspect my house. She checked the nursery, kitchen, smoke alarms, and refrigerator. Everything was normal until she opened the drawer beside my bed. Inside were 3 prescription bottles. One contained clonazepam, prescribed to me 6 months earlier after Ben's funeral. The bottle was empty. Another contained my father's sleep medication. The third held loose white tablets. Angela lifted the bottles with gloved hands. What are these? I don't know. The first prescription has your name. I was given 5 pills after Ben died. I took one. The bottle disappeared weeks ago. You're saying someone put it here? Yes. Who has access to your house? My stomach tightened. Natalie has a key. Angela's expression changed slightly. She told us she returned it. She didn't. Can you prove that Maya, standing near the hallway, spoke? My doorbell camera covers Claire's steps. We reviewed the footage. 2 nights earlier, Natalie approached my townhouse wearing a hooded coat. She disappeared beneath the porch for 4 minutes. When she arrived, she carried a small canvas bag. When she left, she did not. Natalie claimed she had only checked whether the door was locked. Then, Tessa obtained data from my smart lock. At 9:43 p.m., someone had used a physical key. The system captured a still image of Natalie's hand turning it. At the next hearing, Tessa presented the footage. Natalie's lawyer said, "My client feared there were dangerous substances inside the residence." Judge Rebecca Sloan looked over her glasses. "Did Ms. Cole notify law enforcement?" "No, Your Honor." "Did she notify the child's mother?" "No." "Did she disclose the visit during the inspection?" "No." "Then how did she know dangerous substances might be inside?" The attorney paused. "My client was aware Ms. Marlowe had previously used medication." Tessa stood. "My client's prescribed treatment does not explain why medication belonging to her father appeared after Ms. Cole entered the house." Natalie whispered urgently to her lawyer. "The judge increased my supervised visits to 2 hours a day, but refused to return Sadie immediately. The medication must be examined," she said. "The court needs a complete record." Outside, I turned on Tessa. She was caught entering my house before drugs appeared in my drawer. She was caught using a key. What else do they need? Proof that she placed the bottles? She planned this. I agree. Then why is Sadie still with her? Because agreeing is not the same as proving. "You go home after this." Tessa became still. I regretted it immediately. "Yes," she said, "I go home." "You go home without Sadie. That is unfair. But if you want her back permanently, we need evidence that survives more than one hearing." "I'm sorry." "You're allowed to be angry. Not in front of anyone. You're allowed to feel it. You are not allowed to let Natalie decide how it will be interpreted." She sat beside me on the courthouse bench. "Your sister expected momentum to win this for her. She expected you to panic, violate the order, or refuse treatment. She knows me. She knows the version of you she helped create. What does that mean she taught your family that every emotion you showed was instability? Now you're showing a judge something else." The next attack arrived through my therapist. Natalie submitted a letter supposedly written by Leah Brooks. The letter claimed I had paranoid thoughts, refused medical advice, and discussed abandoning Sadie. The letterhead was correct, the signature looked real, the contents were false. Leah called me as soon as she learned about it. "I did not write that letter. I know. I have never described you as delusional. I know. Claire, listen to me. Postpartum anxiety is treatable. Seeking help does not make you dangerous." What if the judge believes the letter? She won't after I testify. A forensic review showed the document had been created on a laptop assigned to Natalie at Safe Beginnings. The signature had been copied from a routine attendance form Leah once submitted for a nonprofit workshop. Natalie claims someone had anonymously emailed her the letter. Tessa subpoenaed the nonprofit's computer records. Natalie's attorney called the request harassment. The judge called it relevant. At my next visit, Natalie looked tired. "You're destroying an organization that helps women," she said. You used its computer to create a fake medical letter. I did not create it. Then you should want the records examined. You have no idea what you're damaging. Neither did you when you forged my signature. Sadie stirred against my chest. Natalie leaned forward. She sleeps through the night now. She's 8 weeks old. She does with me. No, she doesn't. You don't know her routine anymore. The words hurt exactly as intended. I looked at Denise. Please document that Natalie is discussing the case during visitation. Natalie sat back. You've become very calculated. I've become careful. That isn't who you are. No, it's who I have to be around you. That afternoon, Martin Reyes called. We have completed the preliminary preservation review. What did you find? Your sister contacted this office before Sadie was born. I sat down. How long before? Approximately 6 weeks. That was before my hospital visit. Yes. What did she ask? She asked whether a non-parent guardian could request housing reimbursements, receive a caregiving allowance, and occupy trust-owned property. How much is the trust worth? The current principal is approximately $4.8 million. I closed my eyes. And the guardian controls that? No, an independent trustee controls the principal, but a legal guardian can request substantial distributions for the beneficiary's care. What property A. Brownstone owned by the trust? Could Natalie live there? If appointed guardian, and if approved as beneficial to Sadie, yes. Could she receive money? She could receive reimbursements and a monthly caregiving allowance. Did she submit a request after taking Sadie? Yes. How fast? 14 minutes after the custody order was served. I felt sick. What did she request? Immediate residence in the brownstone, reimbursement for legal expenses, and an advance caregiving allowance. She filed before I even finished packing Sadie's diapers. Yes? Why did my phone call scare her? Because her requests were automatically frozen. Trust counsel also notified her that any forged or misleading custody evidence could permanently disqualify her from receiving benefits. Can you send everything to Tessa? We are preparing a production. Was there anything else? Martin hesitated. She attached a document titled Emergency Plan. What was in it? We do not yet have authority to release the attachment. Her attorney claims privilege. She sent it to the trust. We are challenging the claim. 2 days later, Natalie offered me a deal. She placed a folder on the table during a supervised visit. Denise said, "You cannot discuss settlement here." Natalie smiled. "Then you can remain present." The proposal stated that I would consent to 12 months of guardianship. I would attend an inpatient program selected by Safe Beginnings. I would receive 2 supervised visits a week. After 6 months, Natalie would allow me to live in the trust-owned brownstone if my treatment team approved. In exchange, she would not seek permanent custody. I looked up. You're offering to let me live in my daughter's house? It would provide stability. For whom? For Sadie. You requested a caregiving allowance 14 minutes after taking her. Her eyes flickered. That money is for her care. You also asked the trust to reimburse your legal fees. This situation requires legal support. You created the situation. She lowered her voice. Sign it, Claire. No. If the judge rules against you, this offer disappears. No. You could lose her permanently. You already planned to make that happen. You don't know what I planned. I know about the emergency plan. The color left her face. For the first time, she looked genuinely afraid. You have no right to that document. You sent it to Sadie's trust. It was a private contingency, created before I went to the hospital. I knew you were deteriorating. You had not seen me for 9 days. Mom kept me informed. My doctor said I was improving. Your doctor sees what you show her, and you see what? The truth. I pushed the agreement back. The truth is that you never wanted to raise a child. People change. You accepted a fellowship in London. Her eyes widened. That had been a guess. Maya had seen an announcement on Natalie's deleted professional page. Natalie recovered quickly. I declined it. Did you? That is none of your business. It is if you plan to leave my daughter with a nanny. She leaned across the table. Take the deal. You are not strong enough to win this. I don't need to be stronger than you. Yes, you do. No, I only need your records to be more honest than you are. The emergency plan was released the following morning. It was 27 pages long. Page 1 described a strategy to obtain emergency custody using concerns about postpartum instability. Page 4 listed potential witnesses, including my parents and 2 Safe Beginnings employees. Page 8 contained selected text messages from me. Page 12 instructed Natalie to frame all public statements around child safety and avoid mentioning financial benefits. Page 17 estimated monthly trust distributions. Page 19 proposed moving into the brownstone and renting out Natalie's current home. Page 21 calculated how the caregiving allowance could help cover her husband Caleb's business debt. Page 23 listed a full-time nanny agency. Page 25 contained the sentence that ended any remaining doubt. Long-term objective: establish Natalie as primary guardian before Claire stabilizes enough to challenge the arrangement. The document had been created 6 weeks before my hospital stay. My postpartum episode had not caused Natalie's plan. It had activated it. The plan listed a second author, Caleb Cole. Natalie's husband owned a construction company that had been failing for more than a year. He and Natalie owed nearly $500,000 across business loans, credit cards, and their house. The trust would not give them $4.8 million directly, but guardianship could give them housing allowances, reimbursements, and years of paid access. Caleb called me that night. I didn't write the plan, he said. Your name is on it. Natalie added me because we discussed the numbers. You calculated the caregiving allowance. She said it was responsible planning. You discussed using my daughter's trust before she was born. We discussed what would happen if you couldn't care for her. I had not experienced postpartum anxiety yet. Caleb breathed heavily. Natalie believed it was likely. She predicted a medical condition. She said you had always been emotionally fragile, and you believed her. I believe she knew you. Does Natalie want to raise Sadie? She cares about her. That wasn't my question. Silence. Caleb, does she want to be my daughter's mother? I don't know. What is the London Fellowship? His breathing stopped. She told you? She didn't have to. Caleb lowered his voice. She accepted it in February, before filing for custody. Yes. When does she leave? June. Was she taking Sadie? No. Then who was supposed to raise her? A nanny during the day. I would handle nights. While running a failing company, Natalie said it would only be temporary. Until what? She said once guardianship became permanent, the trust could fund professional care. In the background, I heard a door open. Natalie's voice became sharp. Who are you talking to? The call ended. Tessa told me not to contact Caleb again. The final hearing began on a Thursday morning. Natalie arrived with supporters from Safe Beginnings wearing matching pins. A local reporter waited outside. Before entering the courthouse, Natalie live-streamed a statement. Today, I am standing up for a child who cannot speak for herself. I pray truth matters more than intimidation, money, or public pressure. Maya watched the video. She accused you of using money. I have $31 in checking. She probably knows that too. My mother testified first. Natalie's attorney asked, did Claire say she could not care for Sadie? Yes. What were her exact words? She said, take her, I can't do this. Tessa stood. Mrs. Whitaker, did you draft your affidavit? No. Who drafted it? Natalie's attorney. Did you review the complete text exchange between Claire and Natalie? I reviewed what Natalie showed me. Did you see Claire clarify that she wanted to sleep for a week, not disappear permanently? My mother looked at Natalie. No. Did you watch the complete video from the welcome home party? I was there. That was not my question. No. Tessa played footage from the event photographer. The recording showed Sadie crying. It showed me saying, take her for 10 seconds before I scream into a pillow. 12 seconds later, it showed me reaching out and saying, give me my tiny dictator back. Tessa paused the video. Mrs. Whitaker, did Claire ask Natalie to keep the child overnight? No. Did she say she wanted to surrender custody? No. Why did your affidavit claim she did? My mother began crying. Natalie said the important issue was that Claire felt overwhelmed. Did Natalie tell you the custody order would last only a week? Yes. Natalie turned sharply. Mom! Judge Sloan looked at her. Miss Cole, do not interrupt. My mother continued. She said Claire would be angry, but eventually grateful. Did you know about Sadie's trust? I knew there was something from Mother. Did you know Natalie contacted the trust before Claire's hospitalization? No. Did you know she requested money 14 minutes after the custody transfer? My mother stared at my sister. No. Dr. Shaw testified next. Did Miss Marlowe experience postpartum anxiety? Tessa asked. Yes. Did she experience psychosis? No. Did she threaten to harm herself or the child? No. Did she seek treatment voluntarily? Yes. Was that evidence of poor judgment? In my professional opinion, it demonstrated good judgment and insight. Leah testified that the letter attributed to her was fraudulent. A digital forensic expert connected the file to Natalie's work laptop. The signature on the custody agreement had been copied from the hospital authorization and digitally placed onto a new page. Melissa Grant, the notary, was called next. Did you witness Claire sign the custody agreement? Tessa asked. Melissa's hand shook. No. Why did you notarize it? Natalie said Claire had signed it at the hospital. Did you verify that? No. Did Natalie mention Sadie's trust? Melissa glanced toward Natalie. She said permanent guardianship could create resources for safe beginnings. What resources? She said some of the caregiving money could support a program operated through the nonprofit. Natalie's attorney objected. The judge allowed the testimony. Martin Reyes then described Natalie's emails. He confirmed that she asked about housing reimbursements and caregiving benefits before Sadie was born. The emergency plan appeared on a courtroom monitor. Natalie's attorney called it responsible contingency planning. Tessa displayed page 25. Why did your client need to obtain guardianship before Claire stabilized? The attorney did not answer. Natalie took the stand. She spoke calmly at first. I knew my sister was suffering. I created the plan because no one else was willing to prepare for an emergency. Why did the plan calculate your personal debt? Tessa asked. Caleb and I needed to understand whether we could afford to care for Sadie. Why did you request an advance 14 minutes after receiving custody? Babies are expensive. You already had the baby supplies Claire packed. I anticipated future costs. Why did you plan to rent out your house? If I moved into the trust property, maintaining both homes would be irresponsible. Why did you intend to move into a trust property before the court had held a full hearing? I was told Claire's condition could be long-term. By whom? My family, not her doctor. No, not her therapist. No. Why did you accept a 10-month fellowship in London? Natalie's composure weakened. I was prepared to decline it. Did you decline? I intended to. Tessa displayed an email. You wrote to the fellowship director, childcare arrangements are secured and will not affect my relocation. What arrangements? A nanny. So you told this court Sadie needed you instead of her mother, while privately planning to leave the country. I was planning responsibly. Were you taking Sadie to London? No. Then your plan was not to personally raise her. I would remain her guardian. That was the part you wanted correct. I wanted her protected. By a nanny, by a stable structure. Funded by her trust, Natalie's voice rose. The money belongs to Sadie. Then why was your husband's debt in the plan? He added that. Why were your housing costs in the plan? I had to live somewhere. Why were your legal fees included? Because Claire forced me to defend Sadie. You filed the case. Because she was unstable. She sought treatment. She was falling apart. And your solution was to forge her signature? I did not forge it. Create a false therapist letter. I did not create it. Enter her house. I feared for the baby. The baby was with you. The courtroom went silent. Natalie realized her mistake. Tessa continued. Sadie was already in your custody when you entered Claire's house. What danger were you protecting her from? Natalie looked toward her attorney. He wrote something on a legal pad. Before she could answer, Angela entered the courtroom and whispered to Tessa. Tessa turned toward me. A medication bottle was found in your diaper bag at yesterday's visitation. My stomach dropped. What? Angela showed us a photograph. It was the same clonazepam bottle that had disappeared after the home inspection. This time it contained 2 pills. Natalie began crying. I knew it, she said. I knew Claire was still using. Her attorney requested suspension of my visitation and immediate drug testing. Tessa asked, who had access to the bag? I thought back. Natalie approached it yesterday. She said Sadie needed another sweater. Denise was called to testify. She confirmed that Natalie had stood beside my diaper bag while I changed Sadie. The center's security footage showed Natalie leaning over the bag. Her body blocked the camera for 3 seconds. When she walked away, one hand was closed. Natalie's attorney argued that the video proved nothing. Then Caleb stood in the gallery. I need to testify. Natalie stared at him. Sit down. Judge Sloan warned him that he could expose himself to criminal liability. Caleb nodded. I understand. He took the witness stand. His voice shook. Natalie put the bottle in the bag. Natalie stood. He's lying. The judge ordered her to sit. Caleb continued. She kept Claire's old prescription after entering the house. When the first inspection didn't end visitation, she said she needed stronger evidence. Tessa asked, did you see her place it in the bag? She told me afterward. What exactly did she say? She said, now the judge will have to keep visits suspended long enough for Sadie to forget her. My chest tightened. Natalie shouted, that is not what I said. The deputy moved closer to her. Caleb looked at me. I helped with the financial plan. I thought we would move into the brownstone, rent our house, and pay down the business debt. Natalie said Claire would still visit. Did Natalie intend to personally care for Sadie? Tessa asked. No. What did she intend? She wanted to keep legal guardianship until the trust approved professional care. A nanny. A nanny first, boarding school later. Why? Because she said controlling the guardian requests was more important than doing the daily work. Natalie laughed bitterly. You're pathetic. Caleb closed his eyes. She never wanted to be Sadie's mother. She wanted to be the person who controlled what Sadie owned. Judge Sloan called a short recess. In the hallway, Natalie broke away from her attorney and rushed toward me. A deputy moved between us. Claire, wait. I stopped. Her makeup had streaked beneath her eyes. We can fix this. There is no we. Tell them the plan was misunderstood. You forged my signature. Melissa did that. You used it. I was trying to protect Sadie. You planted medication. You cannot prove I did it. Caleb testified. He's angry because I'm leaving him. You created a fake letter. Someone at the nonprofit may have done it. You requested money 14 minutes after they took my daughter. Her voice dropped. I'll withdraw the request. It's too late. I'll give up the brownstone. It was never yours. I'll tell the court you can have custody. She was always mine. Natalie gripped the front of the deputy's sleeve as though she needed something to hold. Please, Claire, the nonprofit will collapse. I could go to prison. I looked at the woman who had spent weeks calling my fear instability and her greed protection. You told me every reaction had consequences. Her face crumpled. Please. I said the one thing she had never expected to hear. You never wanted my baby. You wanted what my baby owned. And now everything you own is going to pay for what you did. The judge delivered her ruling at 4:37 that afternoon. The emergency order was obtained through materially false and manipulated evidence, she said. Natalie stared straight ahead. The petitioner relied upon altered messages, misleading video, a fraudulent therapeutic letter, a falsely notarized custody agreement, and evidence suggesting medication was deliberately planted. My hands began shaking. Tessa placed hers over them. The court further finds substantial evidence that the petitioner's primary motivation was access to financial benefits associated with the child's trust. Natalie's attorney whispered to her. She did not respond. Temporary custody is terminated immediately. Full legal and physical custody is restored to Claire Marlowe. I stopped breathing. The judge continued. Miss Marlowe's decision to seek treatment for postpartum anxiety is not evidence of parental unfitness. Mental illness is not fraud. Treatment is not abandonment. Asking for help is not surrender. Natalie suddenly stood. You're giving a baby to a mentally ill woman. The courtroom froze. Judge Sloan looked directly at her. I am returning a child to a mother who sought appropriate care. The person who created the danger in this case was not the person receiving treatment. 2 deputies approached Natalie. The judge ordered all evidence forwarded to the district attorney, the state notary commission, and the Board of Safe Beginnings. She also issued a protective order, prohibiting Natalie from contacting me or Sadie. The transfer took place at my townhouse that evening. Angela carried Sadie inside. My daughter wore the same yellow dress from our first supervised visit. When Angela placed her in my arms, Sadie stared at me for 2 seconds. Then she screamed. I laughed and cried at the same time. I know I whispered. I'm having a difficult day too. Maya stood in the kitchen, pretending not to cry. Tessa checked the protective order and the new locks. Before leaving, Angela stopped beside the door. I owe you an apology. You followed a court order. I also accepted Natalie's professional reputation as credibility. I appreciated the honesty more than an excuse. Then remember this case the next time a perfect rescuer arrives with perfect evidence. Angela nodded. I will. The consequences did not happen all at once. Real consequences rarely do. Natalie was suspended from Safe Beginnings the next morning. The board later terminated her after an audit revealed that she had used nonprofit employees' computers, donors, and legal funds to support her custody campaign. The organization survived under new leadership. Melissa lost her notary commission and accepted a plea agreement for falsely certifying the custody document. Caleb cooperated with investigators. His testimony reduced his charges, but it did not erase his involvement. His construction company closed, and he filed for bankruptcy. Natalie was charged with forgery, perjury, evidence tampering, unlawful computer access, and misuse of charitable funds. She was not dragged away dramatically in handcuffs that afternoon. The process was slower. There were hearings, frozen accounts, attorney bills, depositions, former supporters who stopped returning her calls, television stations that removed her interviews, donors demanding explanations. For years, Natalie had built a reputation as the woman who rescued vulnerable mothers. Now, every public record showed that she had created a crisis to steal control from one. The trust appointed Martin and an independent fiduciary to approve all distributions for Sadie. I remained her mother and legal guardian, but I could not withdraw large sums personally. That arrangement did not offend me. It relieved me. Sadie's money belonged to Sadie. My parents asked to meet 2 weeks later. I agreed to 30 minutes at Tessa's office without Sadie. My mother placed a letter on the table. I wrote down every conversation I had with Natalie. Why? In case it helps the investigation. My father looked older. We trusted her because of her work. You trusted her title more than my voice. He lowered his eyes. Yes. It was the first honest answer he had given me. My mother began crying. We thought she was helping. You signed an affidavit without seeing the full messages. She said there wasn't time. There was enough time for her to write a 27-page plan. My mother nodded. I know. I'm not ready for either of you to see Sadie. My father flinched. For how long, I don't know. What do we need to do? Therapy. No messages through relatives. No defending Natalie. No telling people I'm keeping Sadie from you. No asking me to hide what happened to protect the family. And then I decide. My father's face tightened at the word decide. That was when I understood how deeply my family had confused love with access. 3 months later, Dr. Shaw reduced my medication. 6 months later, she increased it again when I began having panic attacks around Sadie's first birthday. The old version of me would have hidden it. I did not. I called my doctor. I asked Maya to stay overnight. I scheduled an extra appointment with Leah. No one took my daughter. No one called me unstable. No one used my honesty as evidence against me. Sadie's first birthday party was small. Maya brought a moon-shaped cake. Tessa brought a book about a bear who argued with everyone. My parents attended for 30 supervised minutes after months of counseling. My mother asked before picking Sadie up. That mattered. My father left when the agreed time ended. That mattered too. Natalie did not attend. Her criminal case was still pending, and the protective order remained active. She sent one letter through her attorney. It was 12 pages long. 11 pages explained her pressure, her debts, her childhood sacrifices, and the burden of always being the responsible daughter. On the final page, she wrote, "I know you believe I wanted Sadie's money. I wanted security. There is a difference." I read the sentence twice, then I handed the letter to Tessa. "No response?" she asked. "No." "You're sure?" "Yes." For most of my life, Natalie had treated the absence of an argument as permission to define reality. I no longer needed to correct every lie she told herself. A year after the emergency order, Martin invited me to inspect the trust-owned brownstone. The house was beautiful. 3 floors, tall windows, a garden, no mortgage. For a moment, I understood why Natalie had wanted it. Martin said, "You may request permission to move here with Sadie." I looked around the enormous living room. No. The trust could significantly reduce your expenses. My current home is where Ben carried me through the door after our wedding. It is where Sadie came home from the hospital. It is close to her doctor, my work, and Maya. You are entitled to consider the financial benefit. I am considering it. I look through the window at the empty garden. I don't want every decision in my daughter's life organized around the largest amount of money available. Martin nodded. That is a reasonable decision. The trust rented the brownstone at market value and returned the income to Sadie's account. I went back to my townhouse. When I opened the door, I heard Sadie yelling from the living room because Maya would not let her eat a crayon. "Your mother is home," Maya called. Sadie ran toward me on unsteady legs. I caught her before she fell. For months, people had debated whether I was stable enough to be her mother. But stability had never meant never falling. It meant knowing what to reach for when I did. A doctor, a friend, a lawyer, a complete record, a locked door, a boundary that could not be negotiated away. The people who wanted to control me treated every request for help as evidence of weakness. The people who loved me treated it as information. Natalie's emergency plan had been designed to succeed before I understood what was happening. She believed exhaustion would make me careless, shame would keep me silent, grief would make me easy to define. She was almost right, but my sister made one mistake. She thought becoming a mother had only given me something else to lose. It had also given me someone worth fighting for. Not with violence, not with public revenge, not by becoming better at manipulation than she was. I fought with full conversations instead of edited messages, medical records instead of rumors, camera footage instead of performances, patience instead of panic. And when all of Natalie's lies finally collapsed, I learned the lesson I would one day teach Sadie. The most dangerous person in a family is not always the one who looks cruel. Sometimes it is the person who creates the emergency, offers to rescue you, and demands everything you own as the price of being saved.